यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यामुनतीरावनचारि यामुनतीरावनचारि जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रजजनरञ्जन यशोदानंदन व्रजजनरञ्जन यामुनतीरावनचारि यामुनतीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय ओं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक आचार्य अष्टोत्र सदस्य श्रीमद ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय गौर प्रेम। So for those devotees who have not broken the fast, small piece of rice from Badrinath, so the fasting timing is 8:35. It's over. During darshan, for those who have not broken fast, we can break it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 3, text 50 and 51. 50 does not have a purport, so I will just read verse in the translation and then we will together read text 51. Text 50. Mago nivarshatya sakridyamanuja gambhirato yoga javormi penila bhayanakavarta shatakula nadi margang dadau sindhur iva shriyapate. Because of constant rain sent by the demigod Indra, the river Yamuna was filled with deep water, foaming about with fiercely whirling waves. But as the great Indian Ocean had formerly given way to Lord Ramachandra by allowing him to construct a bridge, the river Yamuna gave way to Vasudeva and allowed him to cross. Text 51. Please repeat after me. Nandavrajam Shaurihi Upetya Tatra Tan Gopan Prasuptan Upalabhya निद्रया सुतं यशोदाशयने निधाय तत्सुताम् उपाधाय पुनः गृहान् अगात्। नन्दव्रजं शौरिरुपेत्य तत्र तान् नन्दव्रजं शौरिरुपेत्य तत्र तान् गोपान् प्रसुप्तान् उपलभ्य निद्रया सुतं यशोदाशयने निधाय तत् सुताम् उपादाय पुनर्गृहानगात्। नन्दव्रजं शौरिरुपेत्य तत्र तान् गोपान् प्रसुप्तान् उपलभ्य निद्रया सुतं यशोदाशयने निधाय तत् सुताम् उपादाय पुनर्गृहानगात्। नन्दव्रजं शौरिरुपेत्य तत्र तान् गोपान् प्रसुप्तान् उपलभ्य निद्रया सुतं यशोदाशयने निधाय तत् सुताम् उपाधाय पुनर्गृहानगात्। ताम् उपाधाय पुनर्गृह just one. There is two words here. One is sutam, another one is sutam. Recite. नन्दव्रजं शौरिरुपेत्य तत्र तान् गोपान् प्रसुप्तान् उपलभ्य निद्र सुतं यशोदाशयने निधाय तत् सुताम् उपादाय पुनर्गृहानगात्। नन्दव्रजं शौरिरुपेत्य तत्र तान् गोपान् प्रसुप्तान् उपलभ्य निद्रया गो निधाय तत् ताम् उपादाय पुनर्गृहानगात्। नन्दव्रजं शौरिरुपेत्य तत्र तान् उपलभ्य तं यशोदाशयने निधाय तत् सुताम् उपादाय पुनर्गृहानगात्। नन्दव्रजं the village or the house of Nanda Maharaj. Aurihi Vasudeva Upetya, reaching Tatra, there, Tan, all the members, Gopan, the cowherd men, Prasuttan, were fast asleep, Upalabhya, understanding that, Nidraya, in deep sleep, Sutam, the son, Vasudeva's son, Yashoda Shayane, on the bed where Mother Yashoda was sleeping. Nidhaya, placing Tatsutam, her daughter, Upadhaya, picking up, Punaha, again, Grihan, to his own house, Agad, returned. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of this translation. When Vasudeva reached the house of Nanda Maharaja, he saw that all the cowherd men were fast asleep. Thus he placed his own son on the bed of Yashoda, picked up her daughter, an expansion of Yogamaya, and then returned to his residence, the prison house of Kamsa. Purport. Vasudeva knew very well that as soon as the daughter was in the prison house of Kamsa, Kamsa would immediately kill her. But to protect his own child, he had to kill the child of his friend. Nanda Maharaja was his friend, but out of deep affection and attachment for his own son, he knowingly did this. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura says that he cannot be blamed for protecting one cannot be blamed for protecting one's own child at the sacrifice of another's. Furthermore, Vasudeva cannot be accused of callousness since his actions were impelled by the force of Yogamaya. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Kale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Nandavrajam Shaurir Upetya Tatratan Gopan Prasuptan Upalabhya Nidraya Tam Yashodha Shayane Nidhaya Tat Tam Upadhaya Punargrihanagad. When Vasudeva reached the house of Nanda Maharaja, he saw that all the cowherd men were fast asleep. Thus he placed his own son on the bed of Yashoda, picked up her daughter, an expansion of Yogamaya, then returned to his residence, prison house of Kamsa. So we are now discussing how Vasudeva took Krishna from Mathura to Gokula. Yesterday we saw how Sesha was helping the Lord. Also we heard descriptions of how the other acharyas, how even Garuda was there and other personified weapons were also protecting the Lord. And we just see in this verse 50 that there was a heavy rain that was created by Indra also when this incident was happening. Yamuna was filled with deep water. That's what the verse says. And there is a example that is given here how Shriya Patehe, it's mentioned here, previous verse, that how the ocean gave way to Lord Ramachandra. Similarly, Yamuna also gave way to Vasudeva. And Also, it was, I did not have time to refer, but I remember hearing it some time back that when Vasudeva was carrying Krishna, so there was a tension created actually that it was, he was, it was raining and it was a river, and he had to take it very carefully. The child should not be drowned. It's also a concern. But then also, if we just see in the first canto, 17th chapter, like that, and why Parikshit went and then sat near the bank, and then he was hearing Bhagavatam. So the glory of Yamuna also Prabhupada speaks about in the purports. So if I'm not wrong, it is mentioned that some acharyas explain that Krishna, if he fell down into the Yamuna just to so that the feet will touch the Yamuna, and then the Yamuna becomes more sanctified. Also, we can see in the purport, Prabhupada mentions that Yamuna is 100 times sanctified than Ganga, although both of them have the similar potency. So Yamuna is glorified like that. So she was also in great anxiety to serve the Lord, and also it increased Vasudeva's deep affection to the Lord in protecting him. He's in the yeah. Also, I say one other section also in again Prabhupada glorifies it in this is one with Parikshit and Shukadeva Goswami in the first canto, and I also remember something like this in this line. Stavapuriya Prabhu is relating that in the third canto. Also with respect to Uddhava's narration, also he glorifies about Yamuna. So just a point that Yamuna also wanted to very intimately serve the Lord, and also this whole incident is increasing the affection of Vasudeva towards Krishna. We can see constantly this is happening. You also see there is a mixture of Aishwarya and then a very deep love that they had for Supreme Lord. So that's the incident. And yeah. So in today's verse, we see that again, so many amazing incidents are happening. How Krishna took, how Vasudeva took Krishna, and by the influence of Yoga Maya, everybody was sleeping. There was, everything became silent, and Vasudeva could easily enact, he could carry the child. Otherwise, how is it possible to come out of the prison house with so many soldiers who are intact? So everybody became sleepy. And also, it is mentioned, the acharyas are mentioning the point that when Vasudeva took the child, he also did not know the route, which direction. It's very dark, it's raining. So everything he was guided, completely he was guided when he came to, as the verse explains, Nanda Vrajam. He just, when he entered the village, he was, all the directions was there for him. So he just directly went into the house. So the acharyas are mentioning the point that that sometimes the gopas are also awake. Usually it's a night time, they will sleep, but sometimes they're awake. But that day, they were all influenced by the potency of Yoga Maya. So they were all completely deep sleep. They were not aware what's happening. And the doors were all open. So it was all kept ready for him so that, Krishna could enter. And yeah, so that's what the verse is. Nanda Vrajam Shauri Upetya Tatratan. So he reached the house of Nanda Maharaja, Tatratan. Then Gopan Prasuptan Upalabhya Nidraya. So the cowherd men, everybody were completely in deep sleep, fast asleep. So he understood this, that this was understood. Then what happened? Sutam Yashoda Shayane Nidhayat. So what Vasudeva did, actually he couldn't see that there is, by the side of Yashoda, there is also Krishna, the Swayam Bhagavan, is also taking rest. He couldn't see that. He just went, just left the child there, and quite some acharyas are explaining that at the moment when Vasudeva left the child, the Vasudeva Krishna merged with Yashoda Krishna. So the Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu in his commentary is explaining the point that there are two broken clouds. When the two broken clouds combine, how it is. So like that, both the Krishnas merged and there was only one Krishna there. So point that. And also it is mentioned that again here in this verse you can see here that Vasudeva had very deep affection for Krishna. Now, there could be some challenging questions on this incident, whole incident that has happened. It is explained, Sutam Yashoda Shayane Nidayatat. So he put the child there. And then what happened? Sutam Upadhaya Punargrihanaga. So he took the child that was born to Yashoda and he took her with him. Just for what purpose? The purpose was to protect Krishna. Krishna has to be safe. Krishna should not be touched by Kamsa. That was the intention. On the other hand, for that reason, he was ready to take the daughter of his friend. So obviously, she is a great risk. So somebody may question, how is it possible? How a person of a caliber of Vasudeva can do that? So here, right there in the purport, Srila Prabhupada clarifies everything. So here he makes the point that Vasudeva knew very well that as soon as the daughter was in the prison house of Kamsa, Kamsa would immediately kill her. He was very clear, there was no doubt, he was fully aware of that. But then the point is that he wanted to protect his own child. So here Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is clarifying that he lost the sense of discrimination at that point because of his Vatsalya Bhav, his deep affection for Krishna. In the mood of protecting the child, he did not think about anything else. Krishna has to be protected. That was his intention. So it was not a callous act, he says. Then so many acharyas are supporting the same point. Then Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhupada also mentions that Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu, he makes the point that actually Vasudeva was fully aware that Kamsa could not touch Maya. He cannot kill her. So there is absolutely nothing wrong in what Vasudeva did. This is some kind of an answer for so-called moralists. But then we know from the very clear perspective of Siddhanta and Rasa that this is the mood of very deep affection that Vasudeva had for Krishna. So his main interest was to protect Krishna. So that is fully in line with pure devotional service. So that is what is being mentioned here. So Srila Prabhupada is quoting. Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that one cannot be blamed for protecting one's own child at the sacrifice of another's. So now this we have to understand it with proper context. Otherwise, we have to see what is the situation of Vasudeva and what is his position and how it is perfectly justified what he did. But then also we can also see on the other hand, as we are practicing devotees, so what is our situation? How do we deal? Because we hear from scriptures, we hear from the qualities of the devotees that all great personalities are considered to be very selfless. We also hear the word Vasudeva Kutumbakam, means they see not only you see your own family or your own child, but you see everyone as part and parcel of Krishna. This is the training we have got. This is what all great devotees have done. So what do we do? How do we do? So that's a question. So that's another point that here, that the proper discrimination was overridden. Yogamaya, that's what the acharyas say. And also, let's discuss about that. Before that, also few things which I want to clarify, that how Krishna and his activities are beyond the conception of our senses and mind. And also, the impossible can become possible by the mercy of Krishna. This is also discussed by the acharyas in many places. We can see right from this chapter, so many things are happening. For example, when Devaki was very much worried that Krishna is showing the four-handed form, so she was, again, due to paternal affection, so she thought that, oh, Kamsa may kill him. Although, Krishna is saying that just now you glorified me so much that regarding my powers and all those things, what is happening now? No, but because then now the parental affection is pushing her to, out of fear, she's saying that, no, better you be like a normal boy. So there are a lot of chances that he may not touch you. Then, so immediately, so the Acharya is explaining that immediately within, like in the drama, how the actor changes his role. Similarly, Krishna immediately changed from the 400 form effortlessly changed to a looking like a normal boy. So like that, there are so many incidents where so many things that happen. Krishna can do so many things which we cannot imagine how it is possible. It is possible for him. So Chaitanya Charitamrita, in this regard, makes gives some very good hints how it is possible. That's one of the quality of Krishna. It says that Kehu Kabe Paravyome Narayana Hari Shakala Shambhava Krishna uh, Jaya Avatari. So it is possible for Krishna. Krishna is Swayam Rupa, he expands himself into Balaram. From Balaram, further expansions happens. It is possible because everything is possible in Krishna. This is what Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says. And then he also says that Jai Jai Rupe Jane Sheit Tahe Kahe Shakale Shambhava Krishne Kichu Mitya Nahe. And as these devotees, the devotees want to see a particular form of the Lord can show the particular form of the Lord. So we should not, and he says that we should not think that this is some dream. Krishna, it is possible for Krishna to do that because that is the inconceivable potency of the Lord. And also Srila Prabhupada in his Markandeya Bhagavata Dharma, he sings that, and also it is possible for his devotee also to perform such an act. Otherwise, how it is possible? We cannot even imagine how that in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, there are so many different kinds of people from various backgrounds, and they're all together and chanting Hare Krishna. That is something amazing. It is something impossible task which is being made possible. Again, it is by the causeless mercy of Krishna and his pure devotee. So Prabhupada, he writes, Tabe jadi tabe kripa hoy hai tuki. Shakali shambhava hoy tumishe kautuki. So he says that, oh my dear Lord, by your causeless mercy, Shakali shambhava, anything is possible. In that hope only, I am entering this place. Just yours is my only hope. So that is one of the amazing qualities of the Lord. He could make impossible things possible. So there is no question. So yesterday also there was a discussion. Day before yesterday also we had this discussion that how is it possible? So many atheists, so many different kinds of people challenge how all these things are possible. It is possible for the Lord to do that. That is why He is Bhagavan. He can make many impossible things happen. So keeping that in mind, understanding very clearly that it is possible for Krishna, impossible things, he can make impossible things possible. So just in this regard also there is, right, in the similar section, I just remember quite some time back hearing a nice conversation on that, how Krishna can change his form at his own will at any time, and it is not at all any difficulty for him to do that. And for us also to imagine, when we perform these skits, and sometimes we think of characters, somebody doing dual role, somebody is doing triple role. Sometimes we try to avoid as much as possible because it's a little complicated for us to do that. Because we have to really, makeup man has to do the makeup. We have to consider the timings and like that. But for Krishna, it is so easy. Just sankalpa matrena. He just desires and he changes. So there is one very nice incident that is the Garha Samhita, where Krishna is he's the Navanita Chora. He just steals the butter, does all kinds of these activities. And once Nanda Maharaj's brother Upananda, her wife Prabhavati, she was little furious because Krishna, along with his entourage, along with all his cowherd boys and others, he goes to different houses and he just goes, steals butter, breaks the pots, and then he does social service by distributing it to monkeys and all those things. That's what he does. And so it was happening like this quite some time. And then once Prabhavati, she became quite upset. She went to meet Mother Yashoda and she was complaining that, what is this? I can't understand. The butter in our house and the butter in your house, all the same. But why he often comes and does all these things? So you need, maybe she's very politely speaking to her. I'm not blaming you. Maybe he's having these kind of tendencies. You have to check it out. You have to correct him. Very polite. She was very angry, but when she came to Yashoda, she was very politely pointing out this. And then Mother Yashoda said, so what do you do? If you see this kind of incidents happening again, you catch him, you catch him red-handed and bring him in front of me. I will just teach him a lesson. Although Mother Yashoda was not super convinced that Krishna did it, still that she was feeling that maybe she's speaking something like that, she was having a feeling. So Okay, Prabhavati said that, okay, she went with, okay, there is some justice. She has given some answer. So she went back. As usual, Krishna and his whole party one day came. They were just breaking the pot, stealing the butter, all those things. So this time what happened? Prabhavati caught him red-handed. So he said, okay, Krishna, enough is enough. You have done quite some times. This time you need to be taught a lesson because this whole village, you're polluting this whole village. So let's go. So she caught her. She brought her all the way up to Yashoda Mata's house. So Yashoda Maya is there, and so many other elderly gopis were there. So she brought, and then she said that, okay, now the time has come. Now you have to correct him. So what happened? She had hidden him under the sari. She has covered his face, and so she was also making sure that Krishna did not run. So all the way she brought her to the house, and then she said, okay, Yashoda, I have done what you have said. So Krishna was also thinking about it. My goodness, if I'm going to be caught in this situation, this time she's not going to leave me. She's going to beat me with a stick, and then I'm going to be in deep trouble. I need to do something about it. So then when Prabhavati opened the sari, and then everybody was laughing, Yashoda and others, what's happening with this Prabhavati? She brought her own son. You see, Krishna cannot do all these things. So Krishna changed the form. He became the son of Prabhavati. And everybody was completely stunned. And then after that, Krishna, then he said that. And after that, what happened? Everybody was fearful. Nobody will chastise Krishna because he could do such activities. So anyway, I was just thinking about this. Shakala Shambhava Krishna. He can do anything. Any impossible thing is possible for him to do. This is Krishna. So now, here we see another incident that in the spiritual world, when someone engages simply for the pleasure of the Lord, they can, it might apparently, like it appears that Vasudeva is ready to sacrifice the daughter of Nanda Maharaj. But then it is completely on the spiritual platform. We need to understand. But whereas on the other hand, in the material world, the whole, the whole attitude, the whole approach that we have is basically predominated by selfishness. That's the whole thing. In fact, we are in this material world because of this attitude of envy over the Lord. Basically, it is also selfishness that I want to be the enjoyer. I want to be in the center. And as a result, we can also see many times those parents and others, when somebody goes and then tells about the son or the daughter, they generally don't accept, okay, yes, he has done a mistake or something like that. It is always my son is correct, my daughter is correct, they can never go wrong. That's how it is. And it is, one sense, it is natural for the mother or father to always think like that. But when someone is trained, one has to be trained in the principles of dharma. So then that is beneficial for them, and also that is beneficial for their children. So this is an important point. Many times I also have experience that when we go and then, for any incident, you go and then complain to the mother, they don't accept that at all. No, my son can never do that. He is the perfect person. He can never do that. But then later, after we have to quote from so many different incidents and other things, then they understand. So, well, here the situation, what Vasudeva did is not in that regard. It is completely out of pure love, and that's what needs to be done in the situation. So that has to be understood. So the whole point that we want to discuss is that we see many times out of selfishness, we have so many examples in the Bhagavatam and other Puranas as well, that out of selfishness, out of one's own personal enjoyment, there is quite some discriminatory act that is being done. So I was thinking of few examples. One was immediately from the Bhagavatam, what came to my mind is about Dhruva Maharaj incident. Suruchi was very much attached to her own son, so she had to part way with Dhruva. So she said, just get out. You cannot sit on the lap of your father. She was very much attached to her own son, and she discriminated. So that's one incident. Then another incident that immediately nobody can miss is right from the first verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Dhritarashtra, such a grown-up person, supposed to be very sober, supposed to have all the powers of discrimination. He was an assembly of all great personalities. Vidura was there, Bhishma was there, other great personalities were there. Although he had all the association of all great saintly persons, just because of the bodily attachment, I, me, mine, he was never able to discriminate. Mamakaf Pandavaschaiva, he said that. What is happening there? Mamaka, my son and the sons of Pandu. Immediately discriminated. So, which was not proper. Then, yeah, there are also other examples wherein we can see how they transcended the attachments and the selfish motive. We can take again examples from this again another side of it. We can see the example of Bali Maharaj, how he completely surrendered himself. He gave up everything, and whatever possessions he had, completely he gave that, and also he gave himself to Krishna. So that's one another example of not being attached, but gave everything to Krishna. Then there are in the Krishna book, if you read, it's right there in the Bhagavatam also. There are quite some examples that is given about personalities who were not selfish. So there are two things here. One is being selfish and being attached, and another thing is to transcend from selfishness to selflessness. So here we are not speaking vague terms. Sometimes we can see many speakers or so-called rationalists or who speak moral stories, or they train people like gentlemen and like that. They speak about selflessness, selfishness. But if the selflessness is not it's not spoken in context with Krishna consciousness or in connection with Krishna, it's on a hollow platform. Again, it's on the bodily platform. So it may be extended selfishness. I'm not doing for myself, somebody may say. It's just for my wife, children, and relatives, and country. Again, it's what? Because it's your wife, your son, your country, your house, your city. So we need to be very clear when we speak. So also, sometimes we see that this shloka is there. Savai pumsang paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje. Ahaituki apratihata. We have to clearly spell it out that ahaituki apratihata is for that adhokshaja, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ahaituki, without any motive and without any interruption, we have to do selfless service. Selfless service to whom? Selfless service for who? That has to be very clearly specified. Otherwise, it's just something vague thing that we are speaking. So here we are discussing some examples. It might appear that these examples I'm quoting just to make the point that we should, from being selfish, we should try to move towards selfless attitude. That's what we need to develop. Specifically, that is required in the practice of Krishna consciousness. So we see the example again. It is Bhagavatam. Example of Ranti Deva. I'm not going to get into the stories of that. I'm just giving you examples. Ranti Deva, how he sacrificed himself for the welfare of others. Then there is an example given of Mudgala, who also was there were grains that were whatever leftover grains, that only he took it. He was allowing it for the other animals and birds to take. There is an example that is given of Harishchandra, who sacrificed everything. Shwamitra. So there could be material motives behind it, but the whole point, as I'm recollecting, it's about from being possessive of something that I, me, mine. From that, one has to gradually give up this attitude of I, me, mine. Seeing from that perspective. Then there is example of King Shiva, who also sacrificed his own flesh. Then also a hunter whose life got transformed by seeing the pigeon, which gave its own flesh, because the hunter wanted to enjoy by killing the pigeon. Then it gives its own flesh, and then he changed, and he didn't want to. He took up renunciation. He became renounced. That was another incident. So these are some of the examples that I was thinking about, and also we could see great acharyas, great personalities. Just a couple of days back, we had Srivas Thakur's disappearance day. So his primary interest was the interest of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although his own son died, he could have tried, he could have really felt, went and then told this to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he didn't do that. He was tolerating and just thinking of the pleasure of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's one example. And also we can see the great acharyas, current acharyas. Srila Prabhupada himself took so much risk. He could have been selfish, could have just stayed in Vrindavan, but he didn't. He just took great risks, and he just shed all his blood to make one devotee. It's not so easy. Prabhupada took so much effort, morning to night, he was selflessly engaging in the service of the Lord for the welfare of so many conditions. There was also great risk that we see. So many examples of that. I was just thinking of example of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was also taking great risk to save once a brahmachari who joined. He had great opposition from the house and the local village and like that. So he had to hide him somewhere in some corner of an unknown place. Happened quite some time back. For what? Just for the great cause of relieving the conditioned soul from clutches of Maya. And he had to take a great risk for that. Some people were accusing him, some people were chastising him, but he did that for the sake of, in the interest of Krishna. So this is the point. And yeah, very much in this regard, there is a nice incident that is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. Krishna, after I think it's chapter where Krishna took away the garments of the gopis. In that section, there is one very nice verse, which Srila Prabhupada also often quotes this verse. He says that the purpose of human form of life is to selflessly engage the service of others. We should understand it in proper context. Service of others means not that just doing social service or something like that, but helping the conditioned souls connect with Krishna, to engage them in the service of Allah. And also we can see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the same verse is being referred by Krishnadas Kaviraja Goswami. This verse, Bharata Bhumite Haila Manusya Janma Jar, Janma Sartaka Karikara Paraupakar. So everybody who is born in the Bharata Bhumi should engage in Paraupakar. Paraupakar is the help that we do to save the lives of the conditioned soul. That is a great mission of every living entity who are born in the Bharata Bhumi. Then immediately you can see in the next verse he quotes, Etavat Janma Sapalyam Dehinam Iha Dehishu Pranair Arthair Diya Vacha Shreya Acharanam. So one should engage in Shreya, the greatest welfare activity, with one's body, mind, words, and intelligence. So that is the perfection of one's human form of life. Not just hovering on the mental platform of being I, me, mine, everything for me. This is what the whole Krishna conscious movement is all about. It is helping people to come out of the bodily platform of life and then taking us further to selflessly engage in service of Krishna and his pure devotee. So, when we discuss about this selflessness, Krishna himself points out in this, before quoting this verse appears, Krishna is pointing out that they were with Krishna and Balaram, with all the other Gopas, they were moving around in the forest and they came in front of a tree. And when they came in front of the tree, Krishna showed the tree. Actually, it was very hot, it was very sunny. And Krishna showed the tree and then he was pointing out that, see this tree. It's very amazing, that shloka. I mean, sometimes we also pass by the tree, we don't think about how much the tree offers to a person. So in this verse, it's a nice verse, just like to read that verse. He says, Patra Pushpa Phala Chaya. So Patra refers to leaves, Pushpa refers to flowers, and then Phala refers to fruits, Chaya refers to the shade. So these four things are offered by the tree. Then what else the tree gives? Mule Valkala Dharubihi. Mule is the roots, that is also beneficial. So just to point out, Patra is beneficial, Pushpa is beneficial, Phala is beneficial, and Chaya is beneficial. And Mula, the root of the tree, is also beneficial. Then Valkala refers to the bark of the tree, that is also beneficial. Then Dharubihi, wood used to you use in the kitchen, that is beneficial. Then he says that Gandha, also the fragrance that comes from the tree. And then he goes on to explain that ninjasa, he says the sap of the tree, some sap of the tree is also beneficial. Then he says that, and what else? When the dharubihi, when that is used, when the wood is used for lighting and then the cooking, what is the residual of that? That is bhasmasti. So the ashes is also beneficial. He is mentioning, Krishna is mentioning that. Then he says, Lokmaihi, then the shoots, offshoots from that is also beneficial. Then he says that like this, Kaman Vitanvate. So the tree, it satisfies all the desires. In whatever you desire, everything the tree is providing. Krishna is also indirectly saying that just before that this incident happened, so the Krishna went and then went to the Brahmanas. Then he sent, some of the Gopas, go please ask them for, they are performing yajna. Definitely they'll be offering nice palatable food. So you ask, we are all here in residing here, ask the Brahmanas for lunch prasadam. So the Brahmanas were very stiff, they didn't want to give a fig to these Gopas. So Krishna is saying that this tree is far, far better than these Brahmanas. So that's what is the indirect hint mentioned here. Then he speaks this verse, Etavad Jan Sapalyam Tehinam. So much to learn from this verse that our life, we have to change that's why when we come in the association of devotees, everything we need to share. That's one of the things when you stay in the ashram, so we need to share. So this training, we can inculcate in the children. Right from young age, this training has to be inculcated. That is very difficult. Otherwise, everything you just see with that vision only. I, me, mine. I cannot share anything. First for me, and then I can only think of other things. But then the whole vision changes in Krishna consciousness. Everything for the pleasure of the Lord. So that's why we see whatever that we bring, the offering that is brought to the Lord, it is covered. When it is being cooked, nobody looks at it. When whatever that is ingredients that is brought, that is, oh, what is that? Hey, rascal, it's not for your enjoyment, it's for Krishna's enjoyment. Don't, poke your nose. It's like you said that, like that dog which licks the ghee that is kept for the offering. So that's why the pujaris, the cooks, are very, very serious. They don't show it. Sometimes they don't even tell what they're cooking, because immediately for us, nice thing. So similarly, so this is one aspect of it. In various angles we can see, we are always thinking of our own enjoyment. And then when it comes to I, me, mine, naturally, my son, my daughter, my family, my everything, seeing from that angle. So, but we can transcend that. We can transcend that particular attitude only when we engage in Krishna. That we need to have that vision that by understanding that we are part and parcel of Krishna, and everyone else is meant for Krishna's enjoyment. So this is the whole problem. So selfishness in our relationship with God, the cause of all the evil. Meaning that when we become very selfish towards God, naturally we cannot. But because when we become envious of God, how we will be able to see others with proper perspective? So Krishna consciousness movement actually teaching how to have proper relationship with others. We speak of so much relationship. What is this relationship? Unless and otherwise you identify who is your father. If you do not know who is your father, how do you know, how can you properly relate with your brothers and sisters? They're all part and parcel of Krishna. So such a profound teaching that we get from Bhagavatam, that come out of this shallow mentality, looking at things from the perspective of I, me, mine, then rise to the platform of seeing everything from Krishna's perspective and his devotion. This is very much required. And it requires training. It naturally happens when we are in the association of devotion. Then we learn to share, then we learn to, not at the beginning maybe it could be superficial, but then it becomes part of one's daily routine. That is the Vedic culture. It's an amazing culture. Everything is done for the pleasure, and it invokes higher pleasure. And also we can see sometimes when as we hear from some senior devotees and all like that, when they serve prasadam, and then when serve prasadam, when you share, it has even more pleasure than you try to enjoy separately. You enjoy honoring it or what. That is the whole. So in Krishna consciousness, the more we give ourselves to others, the more we get happiness. But that in the neophyte stage, we will not understand that of our own pleasure. Of course, that is also there. One has to take care of their own son, their own daughter, their own family member. That point is also made here that there is nothing wrong in doing that. So when it comes to certain emergency situation, obviously as a mother or father or as a guardian, naturally you will try to protect your own kith and kin. There's no doubt about that. But then as a person matures more and more, he thinks of bigger family. That's the whole. So we have to understand this. So there is no question of any callousness on the part of Vasudeva because he's a pure devotee. He's completely situated in the transcendental platform, and his interest was Krishna's interest, and moreover, it was completely orchestrated by Yogamaya. That was Krishna's plan. So I'll just stop here. If you have any questions or comments, what is realization, either point. Yeah, and of course, then the mother and Prabhuji is explaining about how in the Brahma Vimohan Leela, after during that pastime, suddenly parents became so much attached to their children, and then the cows were also very much attached to their calves. Yes, of course, it was all Krishna's expansion. Very nice. Of course, there is also just when we say that we are not, like dry practitioners. There is nothing wrong in having affection towards one's son and one's daughter, but it should not be blind attachment. The attachment should be the proper platform from the perspective of giving Krishna consciousness to our subordinates, to our dependents. So that has to be understood. So otherwise, blind attachment will only apparently we may think that we are doing good for our children, but that will, in a longer run, we will see it could even be on a shorter run, on a longer run. We will see that we could have done it in a better way. We might. Have you heard this or about it? Yeah, it could be a reason. Yeah, but what is the explanation that I saw was that was the plan of the Lord. The Lord wanted that, yeah, Maya to be here in Kamsa's palace, and also through her, she was the one who will be dictating later that yes, you can already Krishna is born, you cannot not touch him, not he is going to be born and he is going to enact his part. Yes. Anything else? Yes. Don't hesitate. Yeah. Correct. And also we saw quite some verses that Krishna has a plan and everything will be executed according to the Yoga Maya. So there is no question, there is no hesitation, there is no second thought process and like that, because they had full faith on Krishna. We saw that in some of. Yes, yeah, that you will see in the upcoming, it will unfold. She will, Devaki will request, so please, Kamsa, this she is a daughter. Kamsa will not, at this time, will not think of anything. You wanted to kill her, and then when about to kill, he showed her form. Exactly, that's what. So yeah, you will try to kill her, and then she will show her 800 form, and she will. Yes, they are happy in one sense. Yeah, that is there. Yes, that's of course they were. Although they many times the point that is being made is that although the Krishna goes to the different houses, then he steals the butter and all those things. They apparently complain, but they are all internally very very happy because they are is all attractive, all charming, gives pleasure to the Lord and his. Yes. Yes, yes. So that incident is, yeah, that incident is mentioned that when Krishna goes to different houses, there is a, they think that from the abharana there is so much light, but naturally from his body there is effulgence. So the gopas are saying that no, no, don't remove the abharana. Yeah, so these are all very intimate pastimes of the Lord. Yeah, we need to get purified to enter into this. Of course, this is very purifying. That's why we are in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. So many other incidents we'll be hearing in Nectarian. Yes, oh, that's correct. Yeah, I didn't explain that further. Acharyas are mentioning the same point that he became completely mad. He was in that further increased his love for the Lord, and also like the Lord, by performing one act, he satisfied so many situations. He also wanted to please Yamuna. At the same time, he wants to increase the love of Vasudeva. So many things were involved. Yes, definitely that increases the Vatsalya bhav of Vasudeva. That is Acharyas exactly they say that. Yes. Yeah, yeah. So that is also mentioned that like after that when she go back and then when she will see, then he will ask, then she will ask Krishna what is going on. Then she will say that another time, next time I will change the form and show that I am your husband. I can take the form of your husband, and then uh, amazing things. Copy it. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.